Symbolism of light, fire, and the sun is both metaphorical and highly metaphysical. It is very vast, and if we cannot get through it today, we will have a second session and continue with it. So, in all of the philosophies of all religions, the symbol of the deity is light. In the book of Genesis, the discourse of cosmic origin begins with a very poetic description that darkness was on the face of the deep, or the primordial waters of space, and that the Spirit of God moved alone on them, and that when God willed, light issued from darkness, heralding the beginning of the cosmic creation or evolution. In the laws of the Manu, the same is exhibited. It says, the universe existed in the shape of darkness, unperceived, destitute of distinctive marks, unknowable, wholly immersed, as it were, in deep sleep, and that the divine self-existent, the Swayambhu, appeared with irresistible power, dispelling darkness. He placed his seed in the primordial waters, which he emanated from himself, which became a golden egg, the Hiranyagarbha of the secret doctrine and other similar teachings. He himself was born as Brahma, the progenitor of the world. And here again, like in the book of Genesis, we see darkness preceding light, and light is shown to be the first that appears in the progressive evolution of our universe. And we just read in the Gita that the deity, whose splendor is likened to the radiance shed by 1,000 suns rising together into the heavens, a mass of splendor, darting light on all sides, difficult to behold, shining in every direction with light immeasurable, like the burning fire or the glowing sun. So these symbols then are used all through the teachings. But first we need to understand what light is and what darkness is, and what these early writings refer to. And let us just pass a few of these things around, and you can look at it yourselves. This is the spectrum, and it shows the visible light as a very thin band, and that one gives you an idea as to what it is that we're actually going to be talking about. And this one came from the computer, and it depicts the color circle of Newton, which is correlated to the light spectrum, and that is the light spectrum, and that's Newton's circle, so you can look at it and get an idea about it, because it depicts what the secret doctrine says. And here's a picture of the sun. Sun, and here you can have this one. So, this is how it looks to us when we use our senses. So then darkness and light, are interchangeable. Interchangeable. Oops, this is be interchangeable. Okay, because to the physical eye, when there is darkness, the senses are not able to perceive anything in our universe. But when we turn the lights on or daylight comes, our senses perceive light. But on this scale of the electromagnetic spectrum, the visible light only occupies this little area, which is this. These colors are the visible spectrum, which is yellow on a very thin band on this. So our eye actually does not see all of the electromagnetic spectrum, only sees a very small portion of it. So obviously we need other senses developed in order to see all of the spectrum, because there are animals, birds, bees that function in these regions that the human eye cannot detect. So that is why it is interchangeable, because to some beings or things or animals on earth, light is darkness and our darkness is light, because they see in what we call, in quotation mark, darkness. So it is interchangeable. So what are the light and darkness of ancient philosophers? What did they mean by light and darkness? In the Gospel of John, we have this statement: in him was life, and the life was the light of men. And in the Secret Doctrine 1 on page 70, it is paraphrased this way: in him, in darkness was life, and the life was the light of men. So the teacher explains that the darkness here is not the darkness of the scientific world that we experience in our daily lives, but of a totally different darkness. And so we shall write it this way. So what is this darkness referred to then? Well, we are now in Manvantara. In other words, our universe is in activity, but at the end of its day, it goes into pralaya. And pralaya is when everything dissolves and is absorbed back into the one, and then the one that the first introduction mentioned is absorbed back again into the absolute, which is this darkness. So during pralaya then, there is nothing to perceive anything, because there isn't anything to perceive it. So this is absolute life and absolute light, and it is referred to darkness, because the absolute cannot perceive anything that is partial. So what is this light then? The Secret Doctrine calls it the primordial light. Primordial light, which then comes forth at the beginning of every manvantara, beginning of activity. And where is it? It is concealed in darkness at all times. So the first manifested then light is the source of all life, and light. What exactly does that refer to? the symbolization of light, then, what does it refer to? It is the light of consciousness. This light is the light of consciousness. Light of consciousness, not my words. Theosophical terminology. So what does that say? That the groundwork of our universe is represented by this primordial light, which is consciousness, life, spirit. So the groundwork of the universe that upholds everything within the absolute is consciousness, which is synonymous with the spirit and life, because it is intelligent. It is everywhere and in everything. So, the symbolization then of primordial divine light then makes everything in the universe intelligent and spiritual. It's called the monad, which represents unity, because it is essentially one, eternal, indivisible, and immortal. And it says in the Secret Doctrine, the whole universe of being is an expression or unfoldment in different degrees and progressive stages of this primordial light and life, the divine monad. So then, nothing is exception to it. Everything has it in itself. Whether it is active or dormant, everybody has that primordial light in themselves. In the Secret Doctrine 1, 289, and please read it for yourselves, because we cannot possibly talk about all of it, even in one aspect of it, here in this talk. On page 289, it says, the initial existence in the first twilight of the Mahamanvantara, after the Mahapralaya, which is rest, that follows every age of Brahma, is a conscious spiritual quality. In the manifested worlds, solar systems, it is in its objective subjectivity like the film from a divine breath to the gaze of the entranced seer. In other words, it's not visible to our physical senses, but to those perfected beings or to those whose inner eye is open, it exists. It's in its objective subjectivity. It is like a breath, almost non-existent, but it has an existence, because it's like a film that spreads from Laya and extends to fill the whole universe. In the manifested worlds, the solar system, it is in its objective subjectivity like the film from a divine breath to the gaze of the entranced seer. It spreads as it issues from Laya throughout infinity as a colorless spiritual fluid. It is on the seventh plane and in its seventh state in our planetary world. 7 divisions, 7 states, which then correspond to the human consciousness. We have 7 divisions of our consciousness. It is substance to our spiritual side. It cannot be called so by men in their waking state. Therefore, they have named it in their ignorance God, Spirit. Okay. And then it continues down, and she says, Surya, the sun, in its visible reflection, exhibits the first or lowest state of the seventh, the highest state of the universal presence. So the sun, our sun then, represents the highest state of this initial existence when we come down from 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It represents the first state coming down, but it is the highest here on earth.